the year 1939, a year that would mark the beginning of one of the most devastating conflicts in human history, a world on the brink. Nations were gripped by uncertainty and fear as the spectre of war loomed large over Europe and beyond. Nationalist ambitions burned bright, fueled by economic hardship and political instability. The Great Depression had left economies in ruins, and political leaders exploited the chaos to push their aggressive agendas. Germany's invasion of Poland shattered the fragile peace, plunging the world into World War II. The blitzkrieg tactics used by the Germans were swift and brutal, leaving Poland devastated and the world in shock. What began as a European conflict quickly escalated into a global conflagration. Alliances were formed, and nations across the globe were drawn into the fray, each bringing their own strengths and strategies to the battlefield. From the beaches of Normandy to the jungles of the Pacific, the battle lines were drawn. The world witnessed unprecedented levels of destruction and heroism as soldiers fought valiantly on multiple fronts. World War II was more than just a clash of armies. It was a battle of ideologies, a struggle between tyranny and freedom. The horrors of the Holocaust and the fight for liberation highlighted the profound moral stakes of the conflict. The echoes of this monumental struggle continue to reverberate today, reminding us of the fragility of peace and the enduring human cost of war. The sacrifices made and the lessons learned remain etched in our collective memory, urging us to strive for a better, more peaceful world. On one side stood the Axis powers, spearheaded by Nazi Germany. Hitler's regime was driven by a desire for dominance and a twisted ideology that sought to reshape the world order. The Nazi war machine was relentless, aiming to subjugate nations and peoples under its iron fist. Hitler's Germany sought to redraw the map of Europe, crushing any opposition. The blitzkrieg tactics employed by the German forces left a trail of devastation and fear across the continent, as cities fell one by one under the relentless assault. Alongside Germany stood Italy, led by Mussolini, eager to expand its empire. Mussolini's fascist regime was determined to restore the glory of the Roman Empire, and Italy's military campaigns in Africa and Europe were a testament to this ambition. Japan, a rising power in the East driven by militaristic ambitions, completed the Axis. The Japanese Empire sought to dominate Asia and the Pacific, driven by a belief in their divine right to rule and a fierce warrior culture. Facing this formidable threat was the Allies, Great Britain, the Soviet Union, and the United States. These nations, despite their differences, united in a common cause to resist the tyranny and aggression of the Axis powers. The clash between these two opposing forces was a clash of worldviews. The Axis sought to impose their authoritarian regimes, while the Allies fought to defend the principles of freedom, democracy, and human rights. The Axis powers sought to impose their will on the world, using fear and violence as their tools. Their leaders, driven by ambition and ideology, orchestrated a campaign of conquest and oppression. The Allies fought to preserve freedom and democracy, shaping the destiny of generations to come. Their victory was not just a military triumph, but a reaffirmation of the values that would guide the post-war world towards peace and cooperation. World War II was marked by pivotal battles and turning points. The Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 brought the United States into the war. The Battle of Midway was a decisive naval victory for the Allies, turning the tide in the Pacific. The Battle of Stalingrad marked a turning point in the war against Nazi Germany. The D-Day landings in 1944 began the Allied liberation of France. These battles shaped the course of World War II. They serve as stark reminders of the human cost of conflict and the importance of courage and sacrifice. Beyond the battlefields, human tales of resilience and loss. The true impact of World War II is best understood through individual stories. In war-torn Europe, families sought refuge from relentless bombing raids. The horrors of the Holocaust cast a long shadow over the continent. On the home front, women stepped into factories, keeping the war effort going. Rationing became a way of life, contributing to the eventual victory. Stories of courage, resilience, and compassion emerged from the darkness. These stories remind us that even in the darkest times, the human spirit can triumph over adversity. A new world order shaping the post-war landscape. As the guns fell silent in 1945, the world emerged profoundly changed. The formation of the United Nations in 1945 aimed to prevent future global conflicts. The UN Charter aimed to maintain peace, promote human rights and foster progress. The war's end also saw the beginning of the Cold War, a decades-long ideological struggle. This rivalry shaped international relations for much of the latter half of the 20th century. The Cold War saw the world divided into two opposing blocs, each armed with nuclear weapons. The long shadow of war enduring impacts on today's world. The echoes of World War II continue to shape the global political landscape today. NATO, formed in 1949, remains a cornerstone of Western security. The European Union has evolved into a political and economic powerhouse. The horrors of the Holocaust serve as a reminder of the dangers of unchecked hatred. The war led to the development of international human rights law and a global commitment to prevent future atrocities. Echoes of the past remembering World War II. The Second World War was one of the most significant and devastating events in human history. It reshaped nations, altered borders, and changed the course of countless lives. The impact of this global conflict is still felt today, and it is crucial that we remember the sacrifices made by those who lived through it. Preserving the memories of those who fought and died is essential to building a more peaceful world. These brave individuals, both soldiers and civilians, endured unimaginable hardships and displayed extraordinary courage. Their stories of resilience and sacrifice serve as a powerful reminder of the cost of war and the value of peace. Museums, memorials, and historical sites dedicated to World War II serve as powerful reminders. They stand as testaments to the bravery and suffering of those who came before us. These places not only honor the fallen, but also educate visitors about the complexities and consequences of the war. These institutions educate future generations about the war's causes and consequences. By learning about the past, young people can better understand the importance of peace and the dangers of conflict. Education is a vital tool in preventing history from repeating itself. The stories of those who lived through the war continue to inspire and inform us. Veterans' first-hand accounts provide invaluable insights into the realities of war, offering lessons in bravery, perseverance, and the human spirit's resilience. By remembering the war's lessons, we can ensure that the sacrifices made were not in vain. Honoring the memory of those who perished helps us appreciate the peace we enjoy today and reminds us of our responsibility to maintain it. The echoes of the past remind us of the fragility of peace and the importance of upholding the values of freedom, justice, and